Fire at Greencastle Avenue Northwest and Swan Lake Road Northwest. North Liberty. Cross streets are Swan Lake Road Northwest.
Dodge Page. Is this 100 acres out of control?
That's what the DNR is saying. Do you want North Liberty and Swisher or Amana?
Swisher Fire and North Liberty Fire. Zone 2. Respond to vegetation fire at Greencastle Avenue Northwest and Swan Road Northwest. North Liberty. Cross streets are Swan Lake Road Northwest.
Copy. All units again, this is going to be Greencastle and Swan Lake. Greencastle, Swan Lake. This was initially a controlled burn started by the DNR. They've called to advise out of control. Approximately 100 acres burning. No nearby structures.
Zone 2. Respond to vegetation fire at Greencastle Avenue Northwest and Swan Lake Road Northwest. North Liberty. Cross streets Swan Lake Road Northwest.
Amana Fire, this is going to be a large grass burn that got out of hand over in Johnson County. It's at Greencastle Ave and Swan Lake Road. You guys are already patched in?
Yeah, I like that plan. This fire is well west of Greencastle here. That's probably our best access. We're going to go west from Greencastle.
Looks like the DNR had a controlled burn earlier. They called in at James and Swan Lake, and then this one at Swan Lake and Greencastle. And they told us they were all done at James and Swan Lake.
You just log for DNR's purposes. We cut the bolt on the gate and open the gate up in Swan Lake, just west of Greenfield. Take out 51317. We have probably a good 100 acres on fire.
In order to access this vegetation fire, we're going to have to take one of the chains off the DNR road close signs. Just want to let them know. Oxford Community, if it'll have 2 grass units on Swan Lake, making sure it doesn't jump.
Yeah, this access point right by Oxford's tanker, we have a tree down in the lane. We can't get back any further. You can drag it out or cut it out.
Coralville Fire, Liberty Fire, and Swish Fire. Zone 2. Respond to vegetation fire at James Avenue North and Swan Lake Road Northwest. North Liberty.
RUTV is not set up for brush fires at this time. If they'd like, we can go get our other one, but it'll be delayed.
West Branch Fire, Swisher Fire, and North Liberty Fire. Zone 2. Respond to vegetation fire at James Avenue Northwest and Swan Lake Road Northwest. North Liberty.
You go at Vet 6. I want you at Swan Lake and Greencastle. Swan Lake and Greencastle, Vet 6.
Okay, so we got a question, kind of interesting. Someone reached out about a pretty sizable fire, 100 acres, they said, out of control, and it was a controlled burn in Swan Lake, Idaho.
Oh, wow.
Now, just to be super clear, right off the bat, we're talking Swan Lake, Idaho, okay? Not Alaska.
Right.
Just so we don't have any confusion with that other Swan Lake fire, that was way back in 2019, huge deal. Alaska, different story.
Totally different.
What we want to do today is, look into what we can find, see what's out there about fire activity around Swan Lake, Idaho, and Bear Lake County. You know where that is, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at all the reports we can find, recent stuff, up through March of this year.
Gotcha. So really honing in.
Yeah, really trying to drill down, get to the bottom of this.
For sure. And just to pinpoint that location for everyone, Swan Lake, it is a recognized area. It's in Bear Lake County, Idaho. Even weather alerts will say Swan Lake. ID.
Right, like they really specify it.
Yeah, and what I think is kind of interesting, thinking about the 100-acre thing, is that, Bear Lake County, they had that wildfire back in October 2024.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that one.
It was on the Georgetown Summit Wildlife Management Area, 105 acres. So
they're pretty close in size to this reported one.
Yeah, so, having a fire of that size in the same county, pretty recently, it makes you think, like, okay, 100 acres, that's not out of the realm of possibility for that area.
Definitely not. It's not like some crazy outlier or anything.
Exactly. Although that Georgetown Summit fire, that wasn't from a controlled burn, the cause. That was still under investigation.
Right. It makes you wonder, though, who's in charge of managing all the fire stuff out in Idaho? Who are the main agencies that deal with this?
So the big ones, the ones you'll hear about the most, are the Idaho Department of Lands, that's IDL, and then the Bureau of Land Management, BLM for short.
Okay, IDL, BLM.
Right, and the IDL, they're responsible for fire protection on a pretty huge chunk of land in Idaho, like state lands, private lands, even some federal lands.
Wow, so they have their hands full.
Yeah, and they also handle the burn permits, those things.
Right, so that's where that DNR thing comes in from the question.
Exactly, DNR, sometimes people use that, but in Idaho, it's really the IDL, the Department of Lands. They're the ones to remember.
Got it, and BLM, they're involved too.
Oh yeah, big time. They manage fire activity across millions of acres in Idaho, It's a huge responsibility.
So we've got these two big agencies, IDL and BLM, and they both use controlled burns, right? It's like a tool in the toolbox.
Exactly. It's a common practice for both of them in Idaho, these controlled burns, and it all comes down to managing fuel loads. That's the term they use.
I've heard that, fuel load.
Yeah, so the idea is you strategically burn off the smaller vegetation, under really specific conditions, and that helps reduce the risk of those huge, intense wildfires that can get out of control.
So you're basically trying to prevent a bigger problem down the line.
Exactly. It's proactive fire management, trying to get ahead of it.
And this is what we're hearing might have happened in Swan Lake, right? Like a controlled burn that maybe didn't go according to plan.
That's the concern, right? And it's important to remember these controlled burns, they're not 100% foolproof. Things can happen.
Makes sense. There's always going to be that element of risk.
Yeah, like the weather, it can change in an instant, especially the wind.
Oh, the wind can be a huge factor.
Huge. If the wind picks up unexpectedly, it can push that fire beyond where it's supposed to be, and that's when a controlled burn can turn into, well, an uncontrolled wildfire.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So it's a tool, but it's a tool with some inherent risks.
Definitely.
Okay, so you dug into the fire reports, the recent ones. Anything in there about Swan Lake specifically?
So I looked at the National Fire Situation Reports. The ones that come out, they give you a big overview of what's happening across the country. And these reports are from March 2025, the most recent ones we have.
Okay, March 2025.
And I didn't see anything specifically mentioning a 100-acre fire in Swan Lake, Idaho, or anything about a controlled burn getting out of control there.
So no mention in the national reports.
Right. But it's important to keep in mind, these national reports, they're very broad. They give you the big picture. They might not have every single little detail, especially for really recent events or things that are very localized.
That makes sense. It's like a high-level summary.
Exactly. So just because it's not mentioned there doesn't mean it didn't happen,
Right. It could be too recent or too small to make it into those national reports.
Exactly. So if someone wants to really know what's happening in Swan Lake, they need to go to more specific sources, ones that focus on that area.
Okay, so where should people go? What are the best places to find the most up-to-date information about fire activity in Swan Lake?
So there are a few really good resources. For Swan Lake specifically, you want to check WeatherBug. They'll have updates, for that location, Swan Lake ID.
WeatherBug, okay.
And then if you're concerned about fire closures, like if you're planning to go out there, for recreation or something, check the Idaho Fish and Game website. They'll have that information.
Makes sense. Safety first.
Always. And then, really importantly, the Idaho Department of Lands website, that's the IDL, they have a ton of fire information.
Okay, IDL website.
Yeah, they have a fire news feed that's updated regularly. And then they have this Idaho fire map. It's really cool. You can search it, zoom in on different areas.
So you can really zero in on Swan Lake.
Exactly. And then they also have wildfire alerts. So if there's anything active and really important, you'll know right away.
Okay, so WeatherBug, Idaho Fish and Game, IDL website. What about the BLM? They have anything online?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If there's a chance the fire is on federal land, then definitely check the BLM Idaho Fire Information page. They'll have details on that.
BLM Idaho Fire Information.
And then for really localized updates, like from the people on the ground, the Bear Lake County Fire Department, they often post information on their Facebook page.
Okay, so check their Facebook.
Yeah. And then finally, for just broader emergency information in Idaho, you can always go to the Idaho Office of Emergency Management website. They're a great resource.
So that's a whole lot of resources to check, it seems like. If you want to really know what's going on, it takes a bit of digging.
It does, but it's worth it, to get the most accurate information.
Absolutely. So what if someone wants to talk to a real person, like someone on the ground in Bear Lake County? Who would they call for the absolute latest information?
So the best bet for that would be the Bear Lake County Office of Emergency Management. They're the ones to contact.
Okay, Bear Lake County Office of Emergency Management.
Yeah, their coordinator, his name is Todd Boehm. You can reach him directly. His number is 208-479-5797.
Wow, direct line.
Yeah, or you can email him to boehm@bearlakecounty.id.gov. And if you can't reach him, their general county number is 208-945-2155.
So write those down, folks. Very important contact information.
Definitely. Those are the folks who will have the most accurate and up-to-the-minute information.
Awesome. So to recap, it seems like the national reports we looked at, they don't specifically confirm this 100-acre out-of-controlled burn in Swan Lake, Idaho.
Right.
But it could be a really recent thing, or maybe it's being tracked at a local level. We just don't have that information yet.
Yeah, Could be.
So the best thing to do, if you really want to know, is to go to those specific resources we talked about. WeatherBug, Idaho Fish and Game, the IDL website, the BLM, all of those. And especially get in touch with the folks at the Bear Lake County Office of Emergency Management.
Yeah, they're the ones who will know for sure.
Exactly. So go straight to the source.
And, thinking about all of this, it really makes you think about the bigger picture.
In what way?
Well, we've got all this proactive fire management, right? These controlled burns, they're a necessary tool. But even with all the planning and everything, there's still that risk. Things can still go wrong.
Right. You can't control everything, especially when it comes to nature.
Exactly. And it makes you think about our relationship with the natural world,
Yeah.
Like we're always trying to manage it, to control it, but sometimes it just does its own thing.
It's a good reminder that we're not always in charge.
Definitely. It's a reminder to be vigilant, to be aware, and to, respect the power of nature.
Absolutely. Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap things up here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Swan Lake fire situation.
My pleasure.
And remember, stay informed, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.